They laughed at him. Not fans, not rivals, other football players, because nothing about him was supposed to work at this level. And yet today, NFL offenses are building entire game plans around stopping one man. Double teams, chips, slide protections, and it still doesn't matter. In 2025, Aidan Hutchinson came off a broken leg and still finished with 14.5 sacks. Offensive coordinators don't fear hype. They fear problems they can't solve. And Hutchinson has become one of those problems. But here's what doesn't make sense. He wasn't built like this growing up. He wasn't trained like this. And the skill that makes him unguardable didn't come from a football field at all. To understand how Aidan Hutchinson became the pass rusher NFL offenses can't escape, you have to go back to the one thing everyone told him to stop doing. While other kids were spending their afternoons at football camps, Aidan Hutchinson was in a dance studio. Hip-hop, popping, locking, even ballet. A 6-foot Michigan kid learning balance and body control in front of mirrors, not defenders. It made him an easy target. Teammates didn't get it. Kids laughed. A future NFL pass rusher, learning how to dance. But those hours taught him something most athletes never learn. How to stay balanced when everything around you is moving. How to spin, stop, and redirect without losing control. So when he finally put the pads on for real, those skills didn't disappear. They followed him onto the field. And quietly, they became the foundation of a pass rush NFL tackles still don't know how to mirror. And that difference mattered. Because Aidan Hutchinson wasn't just trying to make the NFL. He was trying to live up to a name. Hutchinson was born into Michigan royalty. His father, Chris Hutchinson, was a legend for the Wolverines in the 1990s. An All-American who finished his career with 24 sacks and won Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year. That number 97 legacy followed Aidan everywhere. In the Hutchinson household, excellence wasn't requested, it was the baseline. Every workout mattered. Every rep meant something. And while most kids would have folded under that pressure, Aidan used it as fuel. He wasn't trying to be like his dad, he was trying to surpass him. And even before he put on pads seriously in the 7th grade, the foundation of the most dangerous pass rusher in the league was already in place. When it was time for college, there was only one place Aidan was going. He followed in Chris's footsteps to the University of Michigan, but his journey wasn't an overnight success. Much like Shannon Sharpe struggling at Savannah State to get noticed, Aidan had to prove he was more than just a legacy recruit. His junior year in 2020 was cut short by a fractured ankle. At that point, he was viewed as a solid day 2 draft pick, a high motor guy who could help a team but probably wouldn't lead one. He could have left for the NFL then. Most players would have, but Aidan had unfinished business. He returned for his senior year in 2021 and produced one of the most dominant single seasons in the history of college football. He didn't just play well, he went on a rampage. He shattered his father's single-season sack record by putting up 14.0. He led a Wolverines team that had been bullied by Ohio State for a decade to a definitive victory. Go back and watch that 2021 Ohio State tape. He wasn't just winning reps, he was bullying future NFL offensive linemen. He finished as the Heisman runner-up, the first defensive player to get that close to the trophy in years. He had officially moved out of his father's shadow and into the national spotlight. Despite the stats, despite the Heisman, the NFL scouting community still had its doubts. This is the part of the story where the gab meets the game. Going into the 2022 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars had the number 1 pick. They had a choice between the high-floor local legend Hutchinson and the high-ceiling athletic freak Travon Walker. The experts started overanalyzing. They said Aidan's arms were too short. They said he didn't have the elite twitch required to be a double-digit sack guy in the NFL. Jacksonville blinked. They took Walker. The Detroit Lions, sitting at number 2, practically sprinted to the podium. While Travon Walker, the guy picked ahead of Hutchinson, has 27.5 career sacks on his 4-year, $37.4 million rookie deal. Hutchinson has 43 sacks and a 4-year, $180 million extension. One of these teams made a generational mistake, and Jaguars GM Trent Baalke and his front office still gets roasted for it online. The Lions didn't care about arm length. They cared about the fact that Aidan Hutchinson was a culture changer. He was exactly what Dan Campbell needed to turn the same old Lions into something dangerous. And Hutch didn't make them wait. In his first year, he became the first rookie in NFL history to record a stat line of 9.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. Critics who called him a low-ceiling player were suddenly very quiet. In his second year, the league tried to adjust. Teams started chipping him with tight ends and doubling him on every obvious passing down. But Aidan just worked harder. He finished the 2023 season with 11.5 sacks and recorded 101 total pressures. While Micah Parsons was credited with 103 pressures that year, Hutch was right on his heels, pressuring the quarterback more than Myles Garrett or T.J. Watt. He was a Pro Bowler, a leader, and the reason the Lions made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Every great legend has a moment where it looks like it's all over. For Aidan, it was October 13th, 2024. The Lions were dismantling the Dallas Cowboys. They were the best team in the NFL, and Aidan was on a historic pace. He had 7.5 sacks through just 5 games. He was the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. He was on pace to break the all-time sack record of 22.5. Then, in the third quarter, it happened. A freak collision with a teammate. Aidan went down, and the silence in the stadium was deafening. A fractured tibia and fibula. A gruesome, season-ending injury that left the Lions' Super Bowl hopes in jeopardy and Aidan's future in question. For the next few months, Aidan was in the lab. He wasn't just rehabbing, he was rebuilding. He called his leg bionic. Coming into the 2025 season, the narrative was simple. How much did he lose? People expected a slow start. Instead, Aidan Hutchinson came back like he'd been upgraded in a factory. He didn't miss a single game in training camp. He was faster, stronger, more violent than he was before the break. Hutchinson himself said, "My injured leg has been kicked and stepped on already this camp, and I'm glad it happened. It gave me confidence that it's solid." The Lions saw everything they needed to see. On October 29, 2025, they made it official. A 4-year, $180 million extension with $141 million guaranteed. At the time, people called it a gamble. How do you give that much money to a guy coming off a broken leg? Hutch answered them on the field. He finished the 2025 regular season with a career-high 14.5 sacks. He led the NFL in total pressures again, this time hitting the century mark with exactly 100. He became only the 4th player in NFL history to have a 3-sack game in each of his first 3 seasons, joining legends like Reggie White. In the final stretch of the 2025 season, Hutchinson was untouchable. He recorded 6.0 sacks in the final 4 games alone, including a 2-sack performance against the Steelers on December 21st. To appreciate the gravity of that $45 million per year salary, you have to understand something. This isn't just elite defensive end money. This is franchise savior money. In the history of the NFL, very few defensive players have ever commanded this kind of financial respect. We're talking about the level of Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Aaron Donald. Aaron Rodgers has called Hutchinson a generational type player and a true game wrecker you always have to account for. When the Lions front office sat down in late 2025, they weren't just looking at the 14.5 sacks. They were looking at a guy who leads the team in jersey sales and literally refused to let a snapped leg slow down his trajectory. The contract keeps him in Honolulu blue through 2030, making him a Lion for essentially his entire prime. But let's dive deeper into what makes him unguardable on a technical level. Most elite pass rushers are specialists. They pin their ears back on third down and disappear in the run game. But Hutchinson plays 95% of defensive snaps, while other star edges tap out at 75 to 80% to stay fresh. In the 2025 season, Next Gen Stats clocked his average get-off at 0.77 seconds, tied for third best in the entire NFL. When you combine that kind of suddenness with a 6'7", 270-pound frame, you aren't just a pass rusher. You're a freight train with the handling of a Ferrari. But what makes him impossible to game plan against is the technical versatility. Because of that dance background, he can fluidly transition from a speed rush into a power move without losing momentum. He's setting edges in the run game, chasing down running backs 40 yards downfield, and still has enough gas in the tank to execute a perfect spin move on the final play of the game. Offensive tackles can't commit to stopping one thing, because he's mastered 4 different ways to beat you. That's not just athleticism. That's a level of conditioning most human beings can't comprehend. And if you want to see those megabuck skills on full display, go watch the walk-off sack against the Giants. Ford Field is rocking. The game is tied. Overtime. Giants have the ball. A chance to win. Third down. Pressure situation. And Hutchinson shows you exactly why he's worth $45 million a year. He beats the left tackle with that signature inside spin move, the one born in a dance studio. Plants Jameis Winston into the turf, and the game is over. That's the moment that told the Lions everything they needed to know. This is the guy you build a championship defense around. Dan Campbell said it best. He's everything that we thought he would be. He fits us to a T. Later adding, he's got a motor that doesn't stop, and he's just scratching the surface. It's also about the Hutchinson effect on the rest of the locker room. In the 2025 season, Detroit dealt with a nightmare of injuries. Under any other circumstances, the Lions' defense would have collapsed. But because Hutch was there, drawing double teams and demanding excellence, the unit finished tied for 4th in the NFL with 49 total sacks. He makes everyone around him better by simply existing on the line of scrimmage. He creates the interception opportunities that keep the Lions in games. A 58-yard interception return against Matthew Stafford and the Rams in Week 15 of the 2025 season became a can't-miss play highlight. He didn't just get a sack. He dropped back into a zone, read Stafford's eyes, and snagged a ball that swung the entire momentum of the game. A viral moment, proving he's a nightmare even in space. The mental side of his game is what truly separates him. After the 2024 injury, many players would have played with a ghost in their head. Hutch leaned into it. He told reporters in late 2025 that he wanted to get hit on that leg early, just to prove it was solid. That bionic mindset is exactly what Dan Campbell means when he talks about grit. It's the ability to stare a career-ending moment in the face and decide you're coming back better. He didn't just return, he evolved, adding a long-arm stab move picked up while watching film during rehab, making him even harder to reach for tackles who already struggled with his agility. As we look toward the 2026 postseason and beyond, the question isn't whether Hutch is good, it's how many rings he can bring to the Motor City. He has the contract, the stats, the comeback story. In early 2026, he stands as the second highest paid non-quarterback in average annual value, trailing only Micah Parsons. And many would argue Hutch is the more complete player. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory that mirrors Reggie White's first 4 seasons. And if he maintains this pace through 2030, he'll retire with over 100 career sacks before turning 30. A feat only 5 players in NFL history have ever accomplished. He is the standard, he is the engine, and most importantly, he is just getting started. If 2025 was his statement year, then 2026 is his coronation. Think about the legacy he's building. In just 4 years, he's already become the second leading sacker in Lions franchise history for a 3-year span. He holds the record for most interceptions by a defensive lineman in their first 2 seasons. He's the first player ever to record a sack, an interception, and a forced fumble in the same game multiple times in a single season. These aren't just Lions records. These are NFL history records. He's chasing the ghosts of the greatest to ever play the game, and at this rate, he might just catch them. So if you really want to understand what separates good pass rushers from generational talents, watch Aidan Hutchinson. Watch the way he uses those short arms to leverage 300-pound men into the dirt. Watch the way he celebrates every sack like it's the last one he'll ever get. It's that combination of joy and violence that makes him the pass rusher NFL offenses can't escape. He is the kid from Plymouth who stayed home, saved a franchise, and became a $180 million legend before his 26th birthday. The Michigan dance kid who grew up to be the most feared man on the gridiron. For more of the best NFL content, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, check out some of our other videos on the screen now.